What is going on, guys? Get you 123 here, back with day 11 of the Axial SCX10 2 build. Today we are doing some soldering on the electronics. So in the shot right now is my uncle Russ. Huge thank you to him for helping me through this part of the build. When it came to this step of the process, I didn't have any of the tools or supplies needed to do this, or even really the know-how. I've never really done much soldering before. It's something that I want to get some practice in with. But anyways, the soldering that you are seeing here is the soldering for the LiPo battery to be able to connect with the electronic speed control, which is going to give power to all the electronics on board. So here we're getting a little better angle. I know the first shot there you're getting mostly the back of a hand to look at. Here with a little closer look you can see kind of what's going on here. Basically we're just getting these prong type things heated up here so that we can get some solder on them, and then the two cables coming from the motor will solder directly onto these. So overall, this step here is pretty easy. But by the way, I did want to show you guys the audio with all of these clips, but unfortunately, I don't know what I was thinking. I allowed us to play music while I was here recording. We have like the Beatles and Rush playing in the background of these clips, and since that's all copyrighted, I figure I should just mute it all. I would hate to risk getting a copyright strike because it is up kind of loud in the background. But anyways, there you can see we just ripped off some of the insulation on that wire there. That's going to give us a little bit more space to work here in trying to get this wire soldered to the little connector here, the first connector that is. So my hands are coming in here and I'm gonna be the handyman while my uncle takes care of the soldering. And oh, did we just melt the bag to the solder gun? That might have just been happening there, but anyways, this part of the process was pretty interesting because obviously you can see I'm not touching any metal, right? I'm touching plastic with one hand and the insulation of the wire on the other hand. But since we are heating up this metal, as you might imagine, the heat transfers outward pretty quickly. Here I am holding these parts, and I can remember definitely feeling these parts warming up in my fingertips. In fact, I actually had to slide my my left hand back farther down that wire there before just handing it off altogether to my uncle, because I think we were overcomplicating it there, both trying to hold on to that little wire. So I'm just here holding the housing end of it, and for some reason it wasn't taking the solder super well. It was kind of like I don't know, it just didn't want to go down as cleanly as it could have. I think it probably has to do with the fact that we were basically soldering in midair there without having anything fixed or mounted. So we decided it would probably be a good idea, just to be safe, to clean up that soldering a little bit. So we designed a very fancy and advanced platform to work off of, 2 rolls of duct tape, and a square of drywall. So this is already a lot better. This takes away all of the movement that would have been happening otherwise. So here we're just heating up the solder that we did on the first connector pin just to smooth things over a little bit and make sure that we're getting good solid adhesion there. And as you can see, the flashlight on the camera just went out, so thankfully the light will be back on in just a second. But you can see the solder kind of turning back into a liquid there, and with a little bit extra heat we were able to just smooth it over and turn it into a pretty nice solder. So with the first pin out of the way, it was time to peel back some of the insulation on the other wire and repeat the same process over again for the second one. So once again, nothing too complicated here, just doing the process the same way. So we figure why not just remove the already soldered pin from the connecting housing and insert the other new pin into the housing. So that makes it a little easier to work on, gives you a little bit more to hold on to, rather than just having that pin just, you know, float around on top of that piece of drywall. Gives you more to hold on to, so you can keep it all stable and all that good stuff. You know, I mean, you guys, you've probably done soldering. Most of you guys watching this, you've probably done this before, so this probably isn't anything too new to you. But as I said before in previous videos, it is the style of this build series that I'm doing to show everything in great detail. I don't really like to cut out too much stuff because I've already shown you guys like 12 hours of this footage. Why would I start cutting out detail now? I like showing the entire process. So once again, we've got solder coming down onto the pin. You can see the smoke flowing, wisping away, and let's see how much time this one takes here. Looks like it's going down nicely. And is that it? Is that it? Is that heat gun coming back? That might be it. That might be it. Hold her still until she hardens and cools, and I think that's it. So on that note, look at that. You have both of these pins connected to the motor now. But before we do get everything connected, it just so happened that some solder made it up a little bit high onto the pin. So with an X-Acto knife, you can see my Uncle Russ is going to scrape off some of that excess solder and do it a second time, because you want to make sure this thing can fit all the way deep down inside that connector housing and make a good solid firm connection and fit in there nice and snug. So with everything shoved into there and ready to go, I was about to witness this thing come to life for the very first time. This was a pretty epic moment here. Check it out.
We just do that. There it is, okay?
That's a good sound. So as you can see, I would say that's a pretty good sign that everything is in working order, and so this went pretty smoothly. So here's one funny part about this entire process. While I was here doing the soldering this day, I never considered the fact that the steering servo would also need to be soldered and given power from the battery. So guess what, guys? That still needs to be done. Here, present day, it is not done yet. That is going to be something you see me do here in either the next upcoming build video or the final one after that, but I think that'll be where we have to solder something called like a butterfly connector to give power to that steering servo. So all we have left to do at this point, guys, is paint the body, drill the holes, put on things like the roof rack, headlights, front grille, mirrors, and after that, solder one final thing, and it is done. So we've never been closer, guys. This is so exciting. This is all of the footage that I have to date now. You've seen it all. You have seen all of the footage that exists of this build. What I need to do now is get out and keep working on this thing, and I'll keep you guys posted, obviously, with more videos showing you the rest of the build, and then after that, we can start the trailing videos, the mudding, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so good. So thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos in the future. I'll see you next time. Peace.